I have a confession.
Tell me everything.
So I don't know about anybody else, but 2022 so far is going a little bit better, but I've still required a lot of assistance from chocolate. And I have so much of it sitting around my office right now. I have a multitude of chocolate.
Oh my God. So are you, I mean, I know you're a dark chocolate kind of person,
Yes.
but like not just plain dark chocolate. Like tell me what is your chocolate desire?
So my top chocolate desire is usually like between a 72 to 85% dark. Peruvian is probably one of my favorites, though I did just sample. So all of these are from one of my clients. She sent me a gift box, a giant gift box of just all these beautiful chocolates.
Whoa.
And thank you very much. I love you. And one of them that was in there was from Venezuela. And it is probably one of the best chocolates I've ever had.
Oh my God.
This dark and creamy and rich. And when you eat it, it tastes like you're eating like an Oreo cookie, but it's an 85% dark chocolate.
Please send me a picture of that label because I am drooling.
It was so amazing. Like I would just take up, and I just showed Alex earlier. So like they're also, you eat with your eyes as well. If you're watching people, you can look at the gorgeousness
really pretty
of the chocolate.
It's like 3D.
Yeah, it's like 3D. It has all these like, it looks like sand dunes, kind of, the chocolate bar itself.
Geometric design.
Yeah. And so I don't know if anybody else is out there and has ever eaten chocolate or gotten really into chocolate, but
who hasn't eaten chocolate?
Well, like eating chocolate is like for,
decadence.
Yeah. The decadence of the pleasure, it's about, it's about the sound of the snap, and it's about how it melts on your tongue, and so the layers of the chocolate flavor. And that's why when people come in and they're like, why do you have so many open? I'm like, well, it depends on what I'm feeling like at the time.
What
I want to try. Which, by the way, this one was not my jam. So this one is called Marana Craft Chocolate, and it's a Peruvian chocolate, which I do love Peruvian chocolate. This one kind of just tasted like dirt to me.
That means I probably love it.
It's a little too grassy for me. It's a little too grassy. It had like tobacco and grass kind of tasting, a little dirty tasting. I'm a little more, I like the fruitier ones.
Like earthy, maybe?
No, it's like grassy. Also, I'm taking this course right now. Speaking of flavoring, I'm taking this course called How to Be a Sommelier for Honey.
Ooh.
And so I'm taking that class, and I'm on my second day today. And so we're learning how to actually talk about flavor, and it's not earthy. You talk about the things like grassy and like, the words that I just used are all the things. I'm like, ooh, chocolate. That's what I'd like to talk about. So, having a really good time with that.
Okay. A little bit of a side tangent, but question for you. Speaking of honey, because I'm totally allergic to like bee products.
Yeah.
But how come I can eat honey, but if I put it on my face,
probably shouldn't be eating it. We've had this conversation a couple times. So out there, if you are having any problems with honey, and this is a thing for clientele too, if they have any allergies to bees, they're probably allergic to honey. They might not have a full blown allergy, but they have a sensitivity to it. So it goes into their gullet and it gives them inflammation.
Okay. Well, so here's how you have taught me this. I will say, everyone knows I will try random shit I find when I really shouldn't.
Yeah.
So I had this mask that I got, and it has the bentonite clay.
Yeah.
I think. Right.
Bentonite.
Like, cool. Right. So I've used it, let's say maybe 4 times total.
Yeah.
But then my lips started getting super, super chapped, which was how I know about, for me, my sensitivity from bee products. And so I was like, let me go look up the ingredients. And the 4th fucking thing is honey. And I was like, I should have known. So yeah. Anyways, all right, cool. So honey tasting.
And it might be that if you used it once, it wouldn't be a big deal because it's a sensitivity, not a full blown allergy.
Right.
So with a sensitivity, it takes time for it to build up in the system for your skin to be like, no, my immune system can no longer tolerate this.
Yeah.
So one time you would have been fine, multiple times not okay.
To be a sensitive flower.
Yeah. So I would go off of honey and start using something else instead of. There's lots of other sweeteners to use that aren't honey.
Sparkle maple syrup.
Exactly. One of the best things. Not a sponsor. And speaking of which, let's go ahead and get this party started. Hi, I'm Sybil Salon. I'm an esthetician and spa owner.
And hi, I'm Alex Ellis. I'm a body nerd and wellness expert, and we are business besties.
and bosses. Running your own business, it's hard.
But we're terrible employees, so we're figuring it out.
I figured it all out. But we promise to share everything we know about what it takes to make six figures and beyond.
And be brutally honest about what works and what totally sucks.
A bunch of it totally sucks. But let's get started.
Yes, and that was just like the most gorgeous of segues, because welcome back to Skinfessional. On today's show, we're talking about all things marketing, including ethics.
And how to sell without worrying about getting sued.
Dun, dun, dun. Yes. So speaking of, marketing and disclosures and all of those things, there is a story circulating the news right now of a fitness influencer named Brittany Dawn, who's getting sued by the state of Texas for basically lying, for selling people a product that she then didn't deliver on a lot.
And we know how hard it is to get sued in Texas, because it's Texas.
Yeah. So this brought up an interesting conversation about ethics in marketing, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because when you have an online business, and I know for me, I definitely, when I started, you hear of these stories of these big influencers being taken down, being sued, getting into trouble, and you're trying to avoid trouble by perhaps, staying small in your little mouse hole and not coming out and stepping into the awesomeness that you provide and can offer. And so we wanted to just, kind of explore, where is this line between still having ethics, but also stepping out and making yourself somewhat vulnerable,
Right.
but selling ethically and with a purpose and with intention, and not swindling people.
and it does bring up the speaking up, and we've talked about a bunch. It lands in that realm as well. But there are when Alex and I talked about this, there are really rules, and there are rules that we follow that keep us ethical, that keep us kind of on the right path, and make sure that we don't kind of step in it, and we when we were discussing before the show, which anybody who listens knows that we always discuss this crap before we start, we really talked a lot about where kind of our lines were, and how a lot of it came down to the words we used, the phrases that we used, and kind of internal struggles that we've had to get here. So if you're sitting listening and you're like, oh, I don't know. I don't know if I could even do that. Or if you're like, I haven't even thought about this, that's okay. You just aren't there yet.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. And I think it's much easier to initiate and start the habit now, rather than someone who has, 500,000 followers and now is getting sued by the state of Texas. Is going to have to, your reputation is changed. Someone I wasn't even aware about. And I'm like, oh, that person.
Yeah.
And I know we've talked about too of just selling, and how everyone knows you're selling. And the more that, we have this conversation, and, we're talking about things like affiliate links, right? Maybe you have a link from a company for a product that you love, and you get a portion of sales for every person that buys through that link. You need to disclose that in the eyes of the FTC. And if not, they will have grounds to come after you. Now, that's not to scare you. This, again, is just to go tread forth in the world smartly and be ethical. And I do feel like this kind of protects all of us, because when somebody like the Kardashians, this was also a big thing. They're saying, oh, here's a supplement I take and it keeps me thin. First of all, bullshit. But also, they have influence. We have influence over our customers. We have influence over people we see on social media. And it should be done ethically. And the people who are not doing it ethically and are not vetted and all of that, there should be consequences for that.
Yeah, absolutely. And it is one of these things that, in skincare, and I was talking to Alex about this earlier, in skincare, I feel like a lot of us, we're beat with the idea that we have to say the right thing and do the right thing because we'll be sued by somebody. If we talk about lightening the skin or curing your pigmentation or healing, there are all these words that we use that we, instead we talk around subjects, instead of going forth and saying, the thing we feel like we should say. But then at the same time, when Alex and I were discussing this, she was like, well, but understand that there are things that we absolutely don't do.
Right. Like
you
scope
know?
of practice.
Yeah, and that's within our
Mhm.
scope of practice. And I was like, Alex, that is the perfect way to say that. There are things within our scope of practice that we don't do. And I know in our industry, we think of scope of practice as like, well, I don't do laser. That's beyond my scope of practice. But also, your scope of practice is not to cure anybody of anything. We don't cure
Mm-mm.
people of acne. What we do is we help them manage acne.
Mhm.
That's all
Mhm.
we do. So, Alex, do you manage pain?
I mean, no. If
That's right,
anything,
because you don't touch people. I love when you
yeah,
said that.
I don't touch people. And I think also, like, if you're like, well, I curate, it's like, no, you don't. Because you saw your client for an hour and then there was 29 other days filled with 24 hours in each day that they were responsible to make their own decisions and choices. And so
Hmm.
I think even that of just knowing it that way is like, you're not doing it, they're doing it. We are educating them, or hopefully, right? We're providing
Yeah.
a service and educating them with the information that they can go forth and stop putting honey on their faces if maybe they just start listening, you know?
If we're all
Maybe
very, very
one day.
lucky, if we're very, very lucky, that's what will happen.
But yeah, even like for me, people I see on this is happening right now. I get, tagged on TikTok and someone will say, "Oh, check out, AE Wellness. She's a TikTok PT." And I'm like, "I'm not. I'm
Hmm.
not a TikTok PT." If anybody asks me directly in my comments, like, "Oh, what are your credentials? Are you PT?" I say, "No, I'm not. There's nothing on my site that indicates I'm a physical therapist. I never say I'm a physical therapist." People put me in that hole because they don't understand, right? And also, if I'm saying, "Oh, you can do this to move better and feel better," and it's not fitness, right? I'm not lifting weights in front of
Right.
them. Like they're not sure where to put me, but I make sure that I intentionally do not position myself in a place to cure or treat or prescribe anything, because that's not my lane, and so making sure, like, this is how you market ethically, is making sure that you're not promising things you can't do. I can't cure your pain. Do I believe that life without pain is possible? Yes, 100%. Do I believe that I can teach you tools for you to then empower yourself? Yes, but you're still then going to go work with other professionals who are going to touch you and help you. And I've just taught you the skills to get to that point.
That's right. So, and for us in this industry, if you're listening, and you're a, esthetician or a salon person, we are people who touch people, and we are people who, and I'm not going to say cure anything because we really don't, but and it's hard because I always say we do heal, but we're often not even allowed to say that. We're not
Mm-hmm.
even allowed to say heal because healing is the act of doing something. And we are not even allowed to say those words, you know? But you can say, I believe that I heal. And that changes the entire dynamic.
Yeah, I mean, I think wording is super important, but also knowing, again, the 1 hour of time you spend with your clients isn't healing shit, right? We are teaching them how they can better help themselves for all of that time in between the times that we see them. And each time and like, honestly, this would be the same whether it's massage therapy or esthetician. I have been looking for the longest time for even like a hairstylist who would
Mm-hmm.
teach me about hair chemistry. And then I had to go teach myself on the internet. I'm still mad about that. We, the best way we can serve our clients is teaching them how to help themselves. And so even this
Absolutely.
idea of like healing or curing or whatever, it's like, just don't even bother with those words, because that's not what we're doing.
Well, and I will step aside and say that I believe that there are things that clients can absolutely not do. Alex works in a realm where she believes that everyone can do everything for themselves. I do not believe that. I believe there's
Mm-hmm.
some things that clients cannot do for themselves,
Oh, totally.
which is why we have people who, see people. That's just why we have
Yeah.
therapists, which is why we have massage therapists. Anybody who's a therapist at their name on their name. But education is absolutely key. And so anybody who, I used to work for a spa where they would be like, we don't sell masks. I'm like, why don't you sell masks? She goes, well, that's for the technician.
Mm.
That's for the treatment room. And I'm like, why wouldn't somebody do that at home? And they're like,
Mm-hmm.
that's special for you. And I'm like, that's silly. That doesn't make any sense to me. Somebody should be able to do a treatment mask at home. That's just creating better benefits for them when they're not
Mm-hmm.
seeing me. They're like, but then
Mm-hmm.
it makes you less special. I'm like, trust me, I'm special. Don't worry about it.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Which is totally like that abundance versus fixed mindset. Like if I teach my client and they know too much, they won't need me anymore. And no, you are special. You are awesome. People come to you because they want you. And because your depth of knowledge is so great that there's always something to be learned every single time.
Right. Which goes back to this idea that when you are doing anything ethically, you are doing it with the idea that I am here. My primary concern is I'm here to help my client in the best way possible.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And so I think if you come from that point of view, you will always make the right call.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
And you have the intention. Yeah,
Yeah. If you have
definitely.
that intention. And I try to think about like somebody who is like being sued or somebody who has kind of like done wrong. And I try to imagine them in that place. I'm like, was there a point for this person, this person in Texas who's decided that she has lied to her clientele? Did she come from a point where she was like, I'm going to lie to my clients. This is going to be great. I'm going to be a shyster and just make a bunch of money.
I know. I don't know.
I don't know either. Or at some point, did she get overwhelmed and then just couldn't?
I
What
mean, also I'm thinking of like scope and lane. I don't know what
if
her
she was even
background.
supposed to be doing that?
That's what I'm saying. I don't know what
Yeah.
her background is, but I am currently working with a nutritionist and registered dietitian who legally is
Mm-hmm.
trained how to do these things.
Yeah.
And I have seen the, complex science that
Yeah.
goes into it. We talk about it. So for somebody on the internet to just be like, oh yeah, I'm just going to like prescribe these workout plans and fitness plans for you. I'm like, whoa, that is completely inappropriate based on how intricate this should be,
Right.
you know?
Which is why when I talk to estheticians and we, in our land, we get very tied up into, we believe that we know lots of stuff because we do, right? We get
Mhm.
into land. So we are not nutritionists. We are not
Mhm.
dietitians.
Mhm.
And this is true. When people are like, well, I know a lot of stuff. I'm like, you may know a lot of things. I know a lot of stuff. I recommend supplements to my clientele, but they're based on this idea of skincare and where they
Mhm.
come from skincare.
Mhm.
And that's it. I don't go around being like, well, everyone should be having X, Y, and Z because everyone is the same. That's
Mhm.
not the case.
No.
No. And when I don't know something, I literally will send them to somebody else. Alex, how many of my clients have I sent to you?
Lots.
Yeah,
And
because
they're the best. They're so well trained. Thank you.
there are things that this is not my specialty. And quite frankly, I know a lot of what Alex does because I've worked with her for a long time. I've watched
Mhm.
her build her practice. I've watched
Mhm.
her come into her own. But at the end of the day, I'm not her. That's not what I do. I might do it wrong. So therefore, I'm going to send my people to a specialist who knows what the
Mhm.
hell is going on.
Mhm. Yeah, I think there's I'm even thinking of like our intros, and I was like, wellness expert. And I was like, thinking of word choice and how we used to describe ourselves. There's knowing something, but that's not the same as being your lane, that being your scope.
Mm-hmm.
One of the reasons I decided to work with a nutritionist is because I don't want the only information I have to be from influencers on the internet. And yet I still am never going to be giving meal plans and like that's wholly inappropriate.
Right.
So I think, as you're like navigating, how do I market with ethics? It's not, oh my gosh, I'm so scared to step out of my house because everything is dangerous and I might get sued. It's move forth with confidence that you are staying in your lane and not promising, I think most importantly, not promising things that you can't actually do.
100%. 100%. Now, when I want to make sure that we get into the fact that when you are discussing the fact like what you do and you're making the choices, you're like, okay, so I have decided that I'm going to represent myself and I'm aligning myself with this product and I love this product. And so I'm going out and I'm sallying forth with it and I'm going to say I like it. And I'm going to announce to everybody that this is the fact. And I'm going to make sure that I then tell them that this is the truth so that I don't get in trouble. Any good ways to go about that? Alex, how do you tell people? Because I know that you've got some people that you're aligned with. How do you
Are
go
you
about
saying
that?
like affiliate kind of
Yeah, your
thing?
affiliates and your sponsors and all those things. How do you
Yeah.
go about that?
So basically you just have to disclose what you're doing. And here's an interesting thing that we looked into before we actually started recording is product placement in movies and television. Because when you're watching Modern Family and they're driving a BMW, it's because BMW paid to put a BMW there. And they pull out an iPhone. Have you noticed that iPhones never have cases on them? It's because they want you to know that is an iPhone because Apple paid to have that product placed there.
Yep.
So product placement happens in movies and television, but to the FTC, they don't care. They don't have to disclose that, which I think is somewhat unfair. But also on social media, when you're working with clients, like we have a more intimate relationship. I don't think that Claire Dunphy is my friend. Like I know she's not. I'm just not influenced by that at all. But when you're watching somebody's stories, like I was telling you too, I watched this, there's this influencer on TikTok. I aspire to be fashionable like her and literally have like gone on and she's like, here's the outfit I'm wearing. And then I go look at her links and then I go buy from her link. What she is doing in that ad is selling me something, whether she intends to or not. So the FTC wants you to disclose that. So how do we do this? On my podcast, when I have commercials or sponsors, today's episode was sponsored by, that's considered to be enough.
Well, and speaking of sponsorship, this episode is sponsored by Sybil Solon, your fitness expert. That's me. And the fact that I am having a course in Los Angeles, California, April 10th to 12th, 2022. If you are listening to this at some other time, please go to csolyn.com. That's C as in cat, S as in Sam, OLYN.com to look up my course schedule. I do offer a bunch of them. And you too can become a better holistic esthetician. All of my courses can be added to whatever you're currently doing. Facial reflexology is one of the most powerful ones that I offer. It's a very easy skill set to pick up and so incredibly powerful. I would say it's an easy skill set, but it can take a lifetime to get amazing at. I will see you there.
Today's episode was sponsored by, that's considered to be enough. On social media, say if they gave you a product for free, say you got that product for free. Like don't lie about that. Don't make it sound like you bought it with your own money if you didn't. Don't make it sound that you haven't been influenced in what you're saying about this company because of how you received it. And also just if you have seen posts on social media where they start it with like hashtag ad or hashtag sponsored, that's so you don't get sued. So it's literally something as simple as that.
Let people know that you're going to get a kickback. Like if you're going to get money from something, I know when I post things and I'm like, oh, so this is a product that I'm into. If you use this link and you use my code, I get some money from that.
Yeah. And you don't actually have to like verbally say that on the video.
But you can choose to ethically if that's your choice.
You can. Because actually I was thinking about this. I was like, ooh, I don't really have that anywhere. So I am going to make sure like here's a place where I'm going to do it. On Instagram in my bio, the link in my bio, that is a specific to social media link. I'm going to put a little line of text at the bottom. Some of these links are affiliate links. If you buy from them, I will make some money at no extra cost to you.
Yeah.
And that's like all you need to say. Again, it's just about being transparent and not being shady and not lying or deceiving consumers because, you know, you and I were talking about this too. Like, well, everybody knows that if you buy from someone's link, they make money. And I'm like, everybody doesn't. They don't. You and I know because we're in this world. But even for some of our listeners, you may not have known. If you click on if you click on someone's Amazon link, they're making money off that link. They're also not just making money off that link. They make money off of anything else you buy for like a 7-day window from that link.
My favorite story about this is Alex. I sent her a link to something and she goes, is this your affiliate link? And I'm like, hell yeah, it is.
I know. I still bought from it. But like I can look in my Amazon seller history and I can see, you clicked on my link and you didn't buy the thing, but you bought 3 other things. I get a kickback.
I still get a kickback from that. Exactly. Yeah. In fact, so I hope you click on all of my links, everyone. Thank you.
Yeah. And like as a creator, thank you for using my links and helping to support my business and me doing what I want to do. And the FTC is just like, well, just don't lie about it. Don't be deceitful. Yeah. You can sell products that like you don't believe in, but you just have to disclose that that is what you're doing. And this is an effort. If this cleanses the world of those godforsaken tummy teas,
Oh
The
my
world
God.
will be a better place.
Yes, it's true. It's true. It's 100% true. I did want to say that one of the things that I think happens when we are selling, and I actually just put together an entire like kind of course because I was at somebody else's, I was training, and I had put together essentially a sales class, and I did like like ethics for selling,
Mm-hmm.
and I feel that as long as you have your own kind of like ethics behind your sales, you actually will stop hating selling and you'll be less scared of selling. And you will find in yourself that like doing this kind of stuff is less stressful. Because Alex said something that was really important at the beginning of this episode. If you might be holding yourself back from like getting bigger because you're like, I don't like to sell, or I don't like to push people to do things. And this is something that happens all the time. And we've talked about money stories a million times. We have so many episodes about it.
Mm-hmm.
So know that a lot of this also has to do with your own money stories, your fear of selling, your fear of talking to people. So when I just said, like, hey, I might get some money from this, Alex literally was like, And I thought of that. And I was like, I wonder if that's a money story for Alex. I wonder if she's like a little worried about saying that to people.
No. Oh, shoot. I just had a point I was going to make, and then you said that, and I forgot my point. No, I think money stories come up too. Oh, shoot. No, that train left the station and it left
That's okay.
without
It might
me.
come back. Who
I
knows?
hope
Who
it
knows?
does, because I was like, damn, this is a good point.
A lot of stuff. This is a lot of information coming through because this is a new topic for us, kind of us.
Yeah.
We haven't done this particular one before. It'll come around again. Don't worry about it.
Yeah.
Come around again. But what I think an important point to note is that when you are thinking about, the fact that like, are you going to make, are you going to like align yourself and become an affiliate? Are you going to work on selling something? Are you okay with kind of going out to your people and kind of planting a flag and being like, I like this thing, please give me money for it, which we do all the time, but also I'm getting money for something that like, I'm just wearing, that it's okay to do that. Lots of people do it. My favorite part when Alex was talking about the fact that she's like, well, I don't really think that I'm influenced by, Modern Family. She 100% is. That's why they pay all that money. You all are. It's just very subconscious and subliminal.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
It's also the difference is, I think, is that she is like, I didn't go out right away and look for that item. And so that is the definitive line, right? So that's the line between like, hey, I really think that Sybil drinks a lot of boba. I think her boba's awesome. What boba does she use? Which I'm like putting it around and like, here's my boba, which by the way, I put my affiliate, I put my links out for. I have no affiliate links, but I have an Amazon link for it 100% because I do love my boba. And it's really the only boba I like. And people ask me about it all the time.
Mm-hmm. Damn, boba's so good.
Right? Do I sell it? Do I say, and here's where you buy my boba? No.
I think this is the point. It came back to me.
Good.
So much of our, like when you think sales, I think, the first thought many people have is like the sleazy car salesman. Mm-hmm. And even within the online business and the marketing world, we have a lot of models of people selling unethically. And so for me, like my hesitation around sales was trying to push myself into this model that didn't align with my values and intention.
Mm.
And so when you're thinking sales, you don't have to convince somebody to buy something. You don't have to coerce them into buying something. It can be, hey, I have this product. I really like it. This is what it does for me. I think it could do the same for you. Here it is. Take it or leave it. And that attitude for me, whether I'm selling my services or I'm selling a product of just like, here it is, take it or leave it, has allowed me to then get emotionally uninvolved in whether they buy it or not, which makes selling not only more successful, but also less stressful and more fun. So
absolutely.
Yeah, if that's kind of like where you're thinking, like you can sell ethically. We have talked about it. You can sell and you should sell without any buy-in to whether they buy or not.
Yeah.
It's their choice. Like, lay out your table, give people a choice, but like don't lock the door behind them and tell them they can't leave till they buy 3 things. Like that's not the type of ethical sales we're talking about.
No, absolutely. So that is such a good point. The idea, and it was one of the pieces that was really important that when I was, putting together my course, is that the idea of like, just not care. And I was like, I put down like, I just not care if you make the sale. And Alex is like, let me refine that, Sybil. Let me refine this. Which is why you have business besties. So I'm like, I don't care if I make the sale. I'm like, I don't care if I make the sale. She's like, actually, you do care, but you care to the degree where it's like, you don't have any skin in the game. Like you don't want to push them into it. And she's like, you care to the fact that I wish that I made the sale because it's going to help you. But if I don't make the sale, it's because you chose not to. And I'm okay with that choice because I'm okay with your choice.
Yeah. Like if this is right for you now, awesome. And if it's not, best of luck on your journey.
Right. Yeah, exactly. So you are not forcing people to do things. I think with selling, sometimes people are like, oh, but I'm making them do something. I'm like, how are you making them do something? You're offering them a solution to their problem. They decide if they want that solution or not. That's it. And one of the things that came up when I was teaching this first time I taught this course was so many people were like, well, you know, I don't want to tell them what to do. And I'm like, well, it's very arrogant of you to assume that you are telling them to do anything. So you're making choices for them. Wow, that's really arrogant of you. Well, I don't think they should buy that. I'm like, well, that's your money story. That's your money story. So what we're going to talk about at the very end of this, I just want to make sure we hit on the idea that when you're showing something to people that you tell them what you're doing. So you show it to them, you tell them what's happening. So I'm not sponsored by this chocolate company or this chocolate company or this chocolate company, but I will definitely put the links where you can buy them.
Yeah. Did they send it to you for free? Then say they sent it to you for free. Did you buy it with your own money? Say you bought it with your own money.
Right. And that is kind of the ethics of it. Now, if I just showed you my chocolate and I was like, it's delicious, I could also be like, that's fine. And if you asked me about it, I could be like, here's my link. And maybe I choose not to tell you that it's my Amazon link and then I make a kickback on it.
Cannot not tell them. That is unethical. You have to tell them that you're sending it.
If I DM it, I do not have to.
I don't know.
They requested it. They requested it. I don't have to.
Yeah, if they requested it, that's interesting. Yeah, probably not.
That's and that's why I wanted to get to that last piece. Cause like if somebody has requested that information, you technically do not have to give it to that. Like, because they've requested it. They've requested that information from you. You don't have to be like, hey, by the way, that's my link. I make money on that.
Right.
Right. They've asked you for that information. But you still can. You'd be like, hey, this is my link.
Yeah, here's my link.
I make some money on that if you decide to.
I mean,
these are choices you make. These are choices you will make yourself.
Yeah. Just don't be an ass.
Don't be an ass. Be ethical. Make your own choices on how you, once again, go back to how would you want to feel? Alex says this all the time. How would you want to be treated?
Because we've all been in that high pressure sales situation where they lock the door behind you and then you feel like you're a loser if you leave. So don't be that person.
And feel like very stressed out about the situation because you're sweating armpits. You feel like you can't say no. And next, you leave and you felt like dirty and sleazy.
I'm literally having flashbacks right now.
Yeah. None of us have to be salespeople like that. That's not who you are. My clients never feel like that. So don't make them feel like that.
No. So we want to hear from you about today's episode and about ethical sales. If you have any tips about selling ethically, if you have any stories or experiences where maybe something went great, maybe it didn't go great, maybe you have fallen for some influencer scam and you're pissed and want to get in on a class action. I don't know. We might have information. But send us a DM or tag us on Instagram. The show is at Skinfessional. I am at Hala for Mala. Sybil is at Skin Fitness Expert. Or you can call us and leave us a voicemail on our voicemail box. What's that number?
Yes, our voicemail box. It's 818-473-5277.
And you can also email us and leave a sweet, sweet message at skinfessionalpod@gmail.com. So that's skinfessional, like today's show, POD @gmail.com.
All right, everyone. This has been fantastic. So until next week.
Keep your secrets to yourself.
Unless you're telling us.
Okay, bye.